So we now have direct confirmation of a new red zone probably coming to kick off the countdown. Dokkan's been a bit dry, obviously. It's always a bit dry before the anniversary, even though last year's was the only one I actually experienced at the same time when I made a JP account. We know Dokkan to sort of be taking it easy at the later quarter of the year up until anniversary. It makes sense. Devs need breaks, characters need to be made, plans need to be made, etc., etc. The reason this is interesting, though, is because this red zone is called the Goku's Story Edition. And this kind of harkens back to a thought I had where Kamehameha looks like a very tempting landing spot for the 10th anniversary. The most iconic move in Shonen, essentially. Everyone knows what a Kamehameha is. It's sort of like going to a fighting game player and going, what is a Hadouken? You know what I mean? Like, you know what a Hadouken is. Similar hand signs, actually. So we sort of see this as an interesting landing spot because we might see something like a Goku's Family card, a Kamehameha card, all very realistic character types to fall under. The thing this does for me, though, is it reinforces a bit of something I was speculating on before, if you remember, where a lot of people said the worst possible thing that could happen is something like this for 10th anniversary for them. I'm not one of these people. I said before that the only thing I really care about is character variance. And so a bunch of Gokus in a row is some like character variance ass, but ultimately I understand that Shonen runs on Goku, so it is what it is, right? The thing that's interesting about this is it could do one of two things. It could be a hint, or it could deconfirm. And we don't know which that is. It could be nothing, but it probably is something. The characters sort of go up and up and up, and some of them, some of them are of higher quality. This is the TUR, I believe, of the Cell with the Cell Juniors. The Hit, the Vegeta, and the Frieza, I believe, have old animations, but Kid Buu is obviously the DFE, I think. And this Jiren is the transformed state of the LRAGL Jiren, which makes sense. Him as one of the final bosses, or at least the final boss, makes a lot of narrative sense and also visual sense for a red zone. Jiren needs a fight, he's the last true boss of Super, at least if you're not counting Broly and Beast, right? So it makes sense for him to get a boss. The thing about this that is so interesting is, while I don't think this is the case, while I don't think this is anything, what we do need to start looking at as a possibility is the likelihood of the Goku celebration. Now, I know it just sent a chill down your spine hearing that. I know some of you don't like that. People are very vocal about that. I said personally that I want variance, so it doesn't look very appealing to me, but it's on the menu. If we're getting this, it's on the menu. I'm sorry to say, like it becomes something that begs a question. But I guess we could talk about like what it could look like in terms of the actual events themselves. One thing I would say is do not get too excited about this content. And the reason I say that is people got really excited, obviously, about the worldwide download celebration content. And as we just pass through these, sure, let's say, yeah, here we go. People got really excited about the worldwide download celebration content, but ultimately this ended up being nothing. And one of the things I speculated early on was, okay, let's think about the position Dokkan is in. Dokkan is trying to sell to as many people as possible right now. It wants the 10th anniversary to be the biggest celebration possible right now. How do you do that? Give some softball content to people just newly getting into the game. I've been making a ton of videos that say, hey, if you haven't gotten into Dokkan, it's a great time to get into it. Obviously, I don't have insider information, but if I'm trying to get people into Dokkan, I'm giving them softball content. I'm not pulling this out as the new hardest content in the game, and then in uh, what's the 13th right now? In a month, I'm going to release another hardest fight in the game. Probably not. So I see people getting really excited for this, as if like, oh my god, finally after 6 months or whatever, we're getting the new hardest fight now that we've played Goku and Frieza to death. I would really not consider that to be what this is. I would really, really, really advise you not look at this as the new step up. And if it is, that's great. I pair it all the time. I think Dokkan should release harder content all the time. It doesn't have to be literally numbers harder, but they could make it character locked or just add new features to it. They could do the burst mode thing they just did with the Kid Buu. Just release hard content. Dokkan literally doesn't have anything to do if hard content isn't releasing. It just is what it is. Characters and content. That's all the game is. If they're not going to release a new grind, this is sort of the step they need to take. But yeah, I think that a Goku celebration, like I said, I don't want to confirm anything because I don't think this is what it's telling me. But Frieza, Cell, Jiren, they wouldn't do Saiyan Saga. So just look at the like other 4 main characters. It's essentially the 4 big bads of Dragon Ball at this point. I mean, obviously they're not going to do OG Dragon Ball, sadly. I mean, it's sad for people who love Dragon Ball, right? But it is what it is. Frieza is a Namek Goku that goes Super Saiyan. Cell has the Goku with Super Saiyan 2. It has amazing animations. It looks amazing in Sparking Zero. If you've played any of that, Super Saiyan 2 has some of the swaggier animations for a Goku. Kid Buu needs no introduction. He obviously has some of the swaggiest animations when it comes to fighting Kid Buu. Super Saiyan 3 Goku has also been really represented, but a Super Saiyan 2 that fights Kid Buu has great potential. And of course, a UI, a mastered UI. I was actually recording a video with LRGN recently, and I said that mastered UI is the one I want to see in the game the most because Omen is the one I want to see in the game the most because I love the look of the black hair. But yes. How would you feel about this being the case, by the way? How would you feel about something like this? Possibly this? How would I even get to Namek, I wonder? Like, I mean, they just... Oh, here. They literally just do not release Namek character song. Possibly this. I mean, it seems so impossible that they would do this when Vegito seems so obvious. But a Goku Story Edition is just so odd. Because at some point, couldn't you just call everything Goku Story? You know what I mean? It's an odd title to make. It's an odd delineation to make. It's a distinction to make. And I wonder what their big reveal will be when it comes to actually using this for something. The final thing I want to do is actually open up something. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's say Countdown comes, they release Goku Stories. Well, Raditz and Goku and Piccolo. We've got Goku and Piccolo here. We've got Namek Goku here. These two are crossed off. We have GT Goku. We have GT Goku. I mean, if there's one thing the game has, it's Goku's to EZA, right? Goku and Hit. I don't see it. I just really don't see it, but to act as if like it would be so surprising that we just get a bunch of Gokus is just foolish, right? Ultimately, it is Dokkan. Ultimately, it's the main character. Ultimately, he's one of the most recognizable characters that has literally ever existed as long as mankind has walked this fucking earth, right? So it's not like anything to say like, oh, boo-hoo, we're getting 4 Gokus, but Goku's family and Goku's stories That's a very interesting thing to reveal, and I wouldn't take it as strongly as a teaser, but I would temper your expectations. If you take anything from this, I would say that the countdown celebration is going to be super interesting. Whatever they decide to Easy A. Whatever they decide to Easy A is going to really blow the doors off, because I don't think they can do TURs unless they do multiple. That's just me. That's just me. You don't have to believe that. You don't have to follow that. I think that when people see precedent be set, when they see that it's LRs on countdowns and suddenly it becomes one TUR, I think people will be upset. I don't think it matters what the TUR is. I'm not saying it's reasonable. I'm just saying I think people will be upset because LRs blow the doors off and TURs typically don't. Even though TURs are very good. You know, I'm one of the people who cape for Beerus. So I think if we see a GT, I would love to see I think instead of seeing Int Gogeta lead the countdown, I actually would rather see this pair. The Int Vegeta and Fizz Goku, I believe, the Orb Changers. I would love to see a pair. Maybe we just get the LR pairs here. And this is sort of the lead into a Battles of Goku celebration where it's like Namek Goku and Frieza Easy A. Okay. Goku Kamehameha leader. Namek Goku and Frieza Easy A. Dokkan Fest, whatever the fuck, Goku. Z Heroes Goku. Maybe Carnival Z Villains Frieza. And then Vegito and Kid Buu for second time. And then for that, we don't really have any great fusions. I don't know. Interesting. It's such an odd mix of Easy A's because some of these seem so impossible. Does that make sense? Where you look at the Easy A list and it doesn't stand out at all. In the last few months, in the last few celebrations, the big celebrations, it was so obvious, right? It was like, oh, what's Worldwide going to be? Is it going to be the last Broly that hasn't Easy A'd yet? Oh, I wonder if it is. What's Anniversary going to be? Is it going to be the superheroes? Like, this time around, it is just really not obvious. If you're just purely going off of like information in front of us rather than, oh, it's going to be Super Vegito every time. You know what I mean? It's just really not obvious. A Goku story red zone. That's going to either be a great lead in to a mixed anniversary or a lead in that revealed too much and people are going to be mad. And I think it's going to sell like fucking hotcakes, by the way. I think people here on Twitter, here on YouTube, we global side of Dokkan, we're actually like the minority almost in terms of like our voice. So when we complain, it actually represents like a very small part of the community, I always feel like. Whereas like the world as a whole is gonna like lose their mind if like this guy shows up as like, you know, the LR for the anniversary or something. I feel like it's gonna be fine. It's just gonna create really annoying discourse, but I don't know, man. He's the main character. It is what it is. Right now, I'd say I'm actually up to like a 30%, maybe 40% that I could see this happening. But I don't think it will. I think instead it's going to be like Goku stories that leads into sagas from Z, and we're still going to get Vegito. I'm still so sold on Dokkan Battle and Dragon Ball Legends share fest units. I think we're getting Vegito Blue. Like if you like the video, subscribe to join the club. What do you think's coming of this? Do you think this is any hint at all, or do you think this is just kind of like a generic seasoning to lead into the event? Let me know in the comment section. We all gonna make it. Peace.